Forget everything you ever thought an Android tablet could be. This is the OnePlus Pad 3. It packs a massive 144Hz LCD display and a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset. And processing wise and power wise, it could even make some laptops, full functioning laptops, sweat. So could this be a defining moment for Android tablets? And that panel, as you mentioned earlier, is LCD and it's 13.2 inches. So the OnePlus Pad 3, let's compare it very briefly in terms of its design element to the Tab S10 Plus from Samsung. One key thing that I think stands out right away is the Pad 3 is an LCD panel, whilst the Tab S10 Plus is an AMOLED panel. And it does show, if you're watching back content, that is focusing a lot on darker areas. Take a scene from Game of Thrones, for example. Those blacks would look significantly blacker on a AMOLED panel like the S10 Plus versus the Pad 3. But those are the only key elements I think are different. When it comes to everything else, things like navigating on the tab, the look and feel and the function of the operation, there's little to no differences. I think the standout feature here though that makes the Pad 3 significantly better than the S10 Plus is its speakers. They are super punchy, super loud, and amazing, amazing clarity. I've never heard speakers coming out of tab sound as good as this. But then let's talk about screen quality and comparisons. As we mentioned earlier, the AMOLED, on the S10 Plus does make it a bit of a slightly better watching experience, but overall, both produce content and be able to watch back content really, really well. Super nice balanced colors on both, video booster on both, color booster on both as well, just to make you aware. And the Pad 3, I would say, does produce a very, very good color in terms of watch back content. Probably not as much as the S10 Plus, but then factor in the S10 Plus costs around about £1,000. The Pad 3 costs around £529. So there's a huge variance there. And I'd say overall, if you factor in speakers, the Pad 3, probably into the design elements and display, does a better overall job. So the Pad 3 is powered by that Snapdragon 8 Elite flagship chipset alongside Android 15 and Oxygen OS. So when you're actually operating the tablet itself, the OS, as it was on the phone, is absolutely rapid, super smooth, excellent transitions, very, very fast. It is the best operated functional OS you can get on any Android system, I think personally. Out there, it's incredibly smooth, great transitions, etc. But then there's a ton of AI elements built into the OS itself as well. So things you've got AI Writer, AI Speak, AI Summary. The last two come via the pull-out of a toolbox. Essentially, depending on where you are within your browsing or within the tablet itself, it will then dictate. So for example, if you're in messages, it'll ask you to write. If you're on the website, it can ask you to summarize or speak, and they both work very, very well. AI Writer lives within the Notes app itself. So what you can do here is if you copy and paste any text into AI Writer, what it will do here, it'll give you the options to essentially brief, summarize, or even expand and make it sound better than it actually does. So that's super, super cool. But the Pad 3 is not without its accessories. So you get a stylus as an option here if you wanted to draw and write. Unfortunately, we didn't bag one at the time of buying this tablet, but then you can get a keyboard. Now the keyboard has a couple of really, really cool elements. First of all, it is super functional and acts as a case and a keyboard in one, which is awesome. And secondly, it actually has a built-in Google Gemini key. Now, the amazing thing with this is there's a simple prompt. You tap here, it opens up Gemini as standard, and you can then do your prompts and searches. So that integration within Google's OS is super prominent here, and it works very, very well. No issues at all. And the typing experience on the keyboard, again, is very, very good. It doesn't have the same level of travel as a normal keyboard, but it does feel super, super solid and has a really nice workflow to it. So if you're going to use this to sort of have a hybrid between a laptop and your phone, it's excellent. Or if you don't even want a laptop and you want just this, because you can use Google Docs for everything, again, the keyboard and the tab work very, very well together. That 13.2-inch display and those firing speakers make this a content consumption monster, but it also has a couple of other elements that are super unique to this tablet. 12,140 milliamp hour battery. Yes, it is that big, with 80 watts of wired charging. Both are industry leading. You can't touch them. So you can be on here all day long. In fact, this display and the way it's all set up works so well that you can game on here for a very, very long time. In fact, we've pulled out a game here that you were actually playing 24 versus 24 online multiplayer using this tablet, and it runs butter smooth. You're getting over 60 FPS as standard, with the graphics and the FPS maxed out on both. And as you can see, the game looks amazing, primarily because the tablet itself can actually run all the elements within that game very, very well. No slowdowns, no jitters, great sound experience. Again, I'm going to repeat this over again. The immersion is amazing, and generally speaking, there are no issues with anything like thermals or overheating. But the other element we mentioned, the battery and the charging, is you can be on here pretty much all day long. This is a heavy use 3-day battery. Easy business. If you keep your brightness sort of middling, you'll get 2 to 3 days on here easily. Tons of watch time on your tab, for example, Netflix, YouTube, or if you want to game for a very long time, you can do that again as well. And in terms of the content to be able to consume as much as you like on here, it is addictive, is probably the best way to describe the Pad 3 and the way it displays and shares its content. So there's a couple of elements we haven't even touched on, things like its cameras. It has one on the back, one on the front, as you'd expect. We haven't even talked about the screen to body ratio, but generally speaking, and as a whole in its totality, having used something like a Tab S10 Plus and pretty much every flagship tab you can think of, including the iPads, the OnePlus Pad 3 is the best tab we've ever used for a number of reasons. First of all, value. £529 is insane value for money. You get elite, top tier performance in a Snapdragon 8 Elite, crazy large battery, 12,140 milliamp hours, 80 watts of charging, recharge is insane. And then the speakers are an absolute standout, probably the best we've ever heard on any tablet ever. So the Pad 3 at that $529 price actually makes you wonder how you could ever pay $999 for the Tab S10 Plus. So if you wanted to get a high-performing tablet to do anything from creating documents as a laptop replacement through to high-end performance gaming, then you need to buy the OnePlus Pad 3 over anything else. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts on high-performance gaming-focused or high-performance tablets. What would you buy? What are your thoughts on the Pad 3? Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.